2, and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for tuning into this brand new interview. Make sure you guys do what you guys do. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever the case may be. I have a very special guest indeed, very intriguing guest, as they say. Professional wrestling's very, 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 very entertaining professional wrestler, if that makes sense. He is known to the professional wrestling world as the time traveler, as they say, because he loves everything from the past. He loves things like Paul Lynde. He talks crap about things that happened in the 1950s. I don't know why. Ladies and gentlemen, RJ City, how are you?
I'm great, but yet I do have a. Are you in no way perturbed that you can see your ring light in your glasses?
You want me to take these off?
I'm asking you. Does it bother you? I'm asking you about your choices. I like the glasses because you have the shirt. You have the collared shirt. It's early. It's early for you. It's early for me. It's earlier for you. And you managed to dress up. I obviously did not get the memo. Put the glasses back on.
Fine. Just for RJ City.
I just wanted to ask about your choices. And it seems to just be when you tilt your head up a little.
Yeah. Like
so perhaps if you lowered the chair a bit, you know.
Yeah,
or I think you should shut the main light off, the room light. And then it just looks like your eyes are glowing.
That's true. I could
like
do
a cat. I mean, also, did you paint your room to match your shirt?
Maybe.
That's my other question. It's a nice, like it's a periwinkle, and then the room is a little bit of a mauve. Okay. And you have I just am observing. I'm observing your room. Okay. And you use Scotch tape. It looks like.
Oh yeah.
To hang up the posters. If that doesn't take off the paint on the wall.
No, not at all.
Fascinating. I was a proponent when I was hanging my poster hanging years of the blue the sticky stuff. That seemed to work the best for me because I would move them. I wouldn't be happy, you know. And sometimes you get to WWF magazine that have of course the double-sided poster, and you want to make use of both sides. You know, be Stacy Keibler for 3 months, great, very sexy, but also on the back was Bob Holly. And I wanted to make sure he got enough exposure, too. He was a handsome guy. Wasn't my cup of tea, you know. Wasn't my milieu, sexually speaking. But I'm sure many people found him very attractive. This is the Bob Holly tribute interview. This is what we're doing, right?
Sure, we can say that.
Okay, fantastic.
Oh, man. Well, thank you once again, RJ, for observing the area and for doing what you do best. But before we get this interview started, I always like to do a spitball or fireball question at you really quick. Yeah. So if you had, and this is so not from your interview from Alicia Toot or somewhere around those lines. Yes. If you had the choice of working with Paul Lynde or Ryan, I believe it's Ryan Nelson Riley, I believe.
Charles Nelson Riley.
Charles Nelson Riley. Which one would you choose?
Well, I heard that Paul Lynde was an incredibly bitter person to deal with. And I was told personally by Ruth Buzzy that Charles Nelson Riley would have loved me. So based on that information, I would have to go with Charles.
Very cool. Very cool. And let's talk about that. So, you know, of course, you're a type of wrestler that many people are.
I'm a type of wrestler. Define that. What does that mean? Define the term type.
Well, your gimmick, as they say, or type of, you know, the style that you have is very throwback, very old school, as they say. So what was the inspiration for that?
Yet. And I'm going to counter here because I'm sorry. Let's question you. How old are you?
How old am I? I'm 21.
Okay. You're a learned man. I think it's old school, yet I think it is progressive in a certain meta self-knowing way. I don't think it's old school in the sense where I'm like, you know, Tully Blanchard, where I have hair on my chest and wool trunks. You know, but I think I look to the past for inspiration. And then I bring that inspiration into today, knowing it's going to be wildly out of place.
Well, I mean, that's awesome. So, like I mentioned before, you have so much of that throwback style, especially, you know, with your work in championship wrestling from Hollywood and as well as everything from the independent scene. What was the inspiration to become a professional wrestler?
I don't know if there was one. I'm trying. It happened before I was fully aware of my own thoughts. So I can't really. I just thought, well, this is a thing to do. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do it. You know, in the same way, I guess. To me, I feel like all children on paper would want to become a professional wrestler, but most children also want to become a Power Ranger, and most boys also want to become like a fire truck, right?
Right.
So okay, and I think what you really should be asking is, why didn't I grow out of that?
Okay, why didn't you?
I don't know. It's a defect. I think my parents supported me too much. I think they were too encouraging of anything I liked. And they thought, this is our kid. If he likes wrestling, let's buy him wrestling toys. Let's be good parents. And it blew up in their face. But yet, that's a challenge with parenting. Because if you support it too much, you push them in one direction. But if they forbade it, if they said no wrestling in the household, then it may have made wrestling seem even cooler. You know, some kids, their parents wouldn't let them watch the Attitude Era, but they became like low-key fans just to get back at their parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was very vulgar. Everybody's pointing to their penises. What was that? You know what I mean? I know that's a little, I feel like that's a little before your time, I guess. I feel like you're just after the Attitude Era.
Well, I mean, I was born the night that Vince McMahon won the Royal Rumble, so.
But you were born then, so yeah. So what's your peak is like what, 10 at least? Which is what, 2008? You were 10 in 2008, I guess?
2009.
2009. Yeah. Okay, yeah, and we're like way past the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era basically ends in like 2001.
Yeah.
You know? So you missed a lot of denim and a lot of pointing to your penis. Although, let me say, I can think of any decade in society and people are pointing to their penises in some way. You know, whether it's paintings or songs about penises. So here, let me ask you a question. Because I'm at this point now in this quarantine business that we're in, of this, doomsday scenario, which we seem to be in for at least the next 6 years, where I've done a bunch of these interviews. Because everyone's home, right?
Right.
And I want to ask you, because you have a burgeoning, if I may, YouTube channel, right?
Right.
You're relatively new to the game of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, how many videos do you have on your channel?
About like 20. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I'm not saying it as an insult. My question to me is, what did you watch in preparation for this interview? What do you know? What do you know about me and your research?
Oh, I watched everything. Are you kidding me? Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, all your interviews with Alicia Toot and Ambi interviews, which apparently I'm a fan of the whole doing interviews in your underwear. That's very, very intriguing indeed. Also, I watched your stuff as well with Ronda Rousey. So I've done a lot of research.
Oh, man. Yes. You watched the Rowdy League.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just know that between Alicia and Ronda, I just seem to just overtake things and fling trivial insults at people.
I mean,
so from your perspective, this is your interview show. I'm doing a bunch of interviews. I did one last week. I'm doing another one this week. Where do you go in your research, and how do you say, like, what do you ask me that no one's ever asked before? What do you get out of me?
Okay.
This is the challenge. I'm asking you.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Here's the question that no one out of all my interviews have ever asked. Okay.
Okay.
In your shoot interview that you had on your YouTube channel, what was it like to shoot on all these different wrestling promotions and kind of give that little spark rather than any other shoot interview in the past? Oh,
it was some big stuff. You say, this is it. These are the facts, and let the chips fall where they may. That's a heel business. I tell it like it is. And if you don't like it, too bad. That's me going into the heel character right now. And I can see it's a little frightening. I know. So prepare yourself. I know you have the impetus to boo.
Impetus to boo? I don't boo. I don't boo people.
You should. When I'm a heel, you should have the decency to boo me. It would be nice.
Okay, fine.
I'll be nice of it. And even if you want to be so kind, a little bit of this, you know, a little bit of the thumb. There you go. Back in business. I can't remember. It was like, maybe it was, I can't even remember where the show was, somewhere in some bizarre state. And I wrestled at like a state fair or something. And I remember walking to the ring and this kid was like, boo. And I was like, oh my God, people still do the thumbs down. What? Who taught this kid?
Oh man. Well, I mean, again, it's very cool to see that you're bringing back the heel of professional wrestling and bringing back that real heat.
Yeah, hot heat.
So what was your inspiration to bringing that back in a time where, you know, obviously you have tweeners, obviously you have people that are both a heel and a face in the business. Like, what's that feeling like of bringing that heat back?
The tweener is such an odd choice because the tweener in many ways is not a choice at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, are we friends with benefits? Are we in a relationship? You're like, oh, we're just whatever. It's like, no, you're either in or you're out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
That's like, just make a clear choice. It's like, no, I'm a heel, but like they like me, but I'm cool. I feel like most of my outputs now, my content and my whatever, and even my wrestling is a reaction to things I don't enjoy about wrestling. And it's stuff like that, because I would have to wrestle people that I say, you know, it's a new promotion or it's a place I've never been before, someone I've never wrestled before. And I'm like, what is your gimmick? And I'm like, well, they'll say, well, I'm a heel, but they like me. And it's like, okay, well then, sorry, what am I going to do? What is the point of this? It's like, maybe you're not a heel then. Just throwing it out there. If they like you that much, maybe you're not doing your job. Wow. You know?
That burns.
Well, seriously. I mean, so what are you saying by saying you're a heel means what? You're just like a selfish person? Like,
well, I mean, there's different definitions of being a heel, of course. You know,
yes.
Obviously, you know, if you're a heel and people want to slash your tires of your car, hey, you're doing your job, as Bully Ray once said. Or, you know, if you are loved by some and hated by most, I mean, I think you're still doing your job, right? I mean, there's a debate in both. You know?
Yes, but I think there is an impetus for certain wrestlers to want to be liked no matter what they're doing. Even when they're bad, it's with a wink of, please really like me. Right. You know, and you know, it does happen before when some heels are so good that they end up becoming baby faces. Roddy Piper, for example, was really only allowed to become a baby face because he was such a good heel. And he didn't do it with a wink. People just appreciated it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, similar to The Rock, for example. When he was a heel, when he first turned heel, and everyone was like, wow, this guy is great. And then when he turned babyface, not that much changed. Still, on paper, quite an asshole. Like, not a good person. It doesn't matter if you like him, but I don't think he was trying to get people. So people look at that and go, wow, I want the end result of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they don't take a step back and say, no, you gotta work at being a heel first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, also I get bored with it feels like there's just a set amount of options of what you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, well, I don't know, maybe there's not. Let us try the other stuff. Let us have, you know, I had a death match with Gregory Iron where both of us died. You know, what happened? Everyone's calling it a death match. Nobody's dying. So we thought, let's die and see what happens. And people seem to enjoy our deaths tremendously.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do for the entertainment.
I've died on stage in much less receptive ways, I assure you.
Okay, well, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously, like you mentioned before, you've been in part of death matches. You've been part of a match, which I do want to point out as well, from the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, where you did face off against, oh my goodness, what's his name? Your favorite friend, as you say, your best friend, David.
Richard Mulligan. Oh, David Arquette. I'm sorry, I got totally confused. I know who you're talking about now. Yes. And that is my first and only appearance so far in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Although I think they've aired promos of mine, which is hilarious.
Yes.
That was an odd but I knew Dave Marquez and a couple of the wrestlers just from my general travels before that. But it was a lovely thing to do there. It was a fun space to have that weird match, and we had a bunch of different options, and there was a bunch of dates impossible. Like, where do you want to do this? Do you want to do this now? Do you want to do it later? Do we whatever? And then, you know, David's documentary, You Cannot Kill David Arquette, which I guess is coming out in the fall. We don't know because all of this, it was supposed to premiere at South by Southwest, and then that got canceled. And then obviously WrestleMania weekend got canceled, and everything gets thrown into turmoil. And then it was like, how they are releasing the movie, I don't really know yet. But it was for the documentary, and they said, no, we're going to do it here. We're going to do it now, which was like, it was so incredibly soon. And I was like, you don't know how to wrestle yet. What are you doing? Like, do you want to take some more time? And it was like, no, we're going to do this now. We're going to, you know, so it was like a lot of build, like slow build in the beginning that was leading nowhere. And then all of a sudden it was this. And Dave Marquez was so nice to just be like, sounds great. Here's whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Like, I'm happy to let you guys do this. And I think we did something that was good. And he, you know, David did good. As much as I don't enjoy him, he wrestled that match with 3 fractured ribs. Okay. Which is pretty incredible. And not, you know, obviously it's a limiting thing to wrestle with 3 fractured ribs.
Oh, yeah.
But he made the best of it, despite locking me in perhaps one of the worst sharpshooters I've ever seen. Halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, he really forgot what a sharpshooter was. And, you know, did something else that we now call the 4-legged freak. That's his variation of the sharpshooter.
Man. Yeah. I mean, hey, I don't know if you were expecting Friends, David Arquette. I don't know if you were expecting WCW champion David Arquette. I don't know which version of David we were getting in that match, but pretty much like you mentioned before, 3 fractured ribs, and, you know, he did pretty good on his own.
Well, I got such a weird version of him. We got this statue of David version of him where he stood on a pedestal and had these King David on his tights. It was very bizarre. I think he wanted to go through a bunch of different gimmicks when he wrestled. I think he thought, oh, and I can be this kind of guy, I'll be this kind of guy. But it's like, no, you're also David Arquette. And people enjoy seeing you. And I think that took him a while. And I think he was a little disappointed that people wanted him. Like, I think he enjoyed being someone else and creating a character, you know, and whatever. And he's like, you guys just want me? He's like, shit. But we got to add to that in an entertaining way. We've since wrestled in LA 1, 2, 3 times. We've teamed together as this real tag team from hell, where I don't like him, and he seems to enjoy that. And we've seemed to find our way as the Abbott and Costello of independent wrestling.
Okay. That's interesting to say the least. I mean, obviously, we've seen you and David Arquette go back and forth. When it comes to interviews, you did interrupt his interview with Alicia sitting on.
Do you just watch her? You mentioned her like 8 times already. Is she your only reference base?
Yeah, well, of course. But in other interviews as well, you know, we've seen you butt heads at each other before. But I think you guys have a good relationship, to say the least.
I think we do. He's someone I am generally frustrated with life. And he seems generally to enjoy life no matter what happens. So I would certainly say at least we balance each other out.
Yeah, you know, and that's the awesome thing about professional wrestling. And speaking about your professional wrestling career, let's take a step back. I mean, obviously you made your debut.
Look, this is me taking a step back. Go ahead. now I'm here. Go ahead.
Yeah, literally. You know, started from your humble beginnings, and then little by little you were going.
And now we're at my humble end.
Not your humble end. I'm not saying that, but anywho, you know, of course you had the acting career as well. How much has the acting career kind of meshed with professional wrestling?
it's the same thing to me, and I don't understand why people have such difficulty seeing it as the same thing. I mean, to call wrestling a sport is hilarious. It really is. I mean, it challenges every definition of the term. And yeah, yes, it's athletic. Like, what do you want from me? Sure. So are a lot of plays. So is, oh God, I don't know. The Blue Man Group is athletic. Seriously. I mean, it's a workout. They do weird stuff. Cirque du Soleil is athletic. It's not a sport. I think we can all agree that Cirque du Soleil is not a sport, you know? So it was always the same thing. And I always thought it's the same thing, but it's very different. So I go, how can I bring wrestling into acting and acting into wrestling? What happens if we change the story, if we change genres, or if we are aware that we are in a wrestling show, and that becomes the premise of the stuff I'm doing. But then the thing about wrestling is that you're so used to getting stuff done in one take and listening to people and trying to make everything make sense as you go. I think it makes you a much more efficient actor, where it's like, no, I got it. I'll figure it out. We don't need to do takes. We don't need to waste time. Like, we can figure it out as we go. And I think doing wrestling shows teaches you to appreciate the live moment, which you don't have if you're doing a movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
it has that feeling nowadays in quarantine where you don't have an audience. So I mean,
but I do, like, so when I do the coffee show, or like my live stream stuff, I do have an audience in the sense that there's a group of people watching. Yet I don't have an audience in the sense that they're not all together and they respond individually. So it's not an audience. It's not a crowd, you know, like when you go to a wrestling show, a crowd speaks as all together. You know, if they're going to chant holy shit or boo, they're going to do this. Sometimes, you know, a lot of times they speak together. A pop, one person can't pop.
Right.
It's got to be this like collective like thing in between people. So you lose that. And it is, it is such a weird feeling to like not have that, to like still do stuff and put out comedy stuff and wrestling stuff and whatever, but also like just not have that at all. Just to be like, am I doing okay? I would like everyone to yell at once to let me know that I'm doing okay. So, but yeah, no, in movies, like they kind of suck in a way. Like it's great when it's finished. And you can watch it all together with people and go, wasn't that great? Did you see that coming? But making them kind of always feels like, what the hell are we doing? You know, is this going to be good? Is it not? I don't know. This is a lot of work and a lot of patience and a lot of time and effort for something that might not be so good. At least when I wrestle and I'm bad, I know instantly. They at least have the decency to tell me that, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to have that feedback from the crowd rather than, you know, just like, oh, so premiere of the movie that took like $1 million to make. Yeah. I mean, there's, you know, different people have different opinions, but at least you could take that feedback and say, you know what, I'm going to step it up next time. Or, you know what, we spent all this money on a movie. You know what, David Arquette movie part 2 will be way better or something like that. I mean, I think there's always a good side to each, you know, to each problem.
Yes, it is also, I mean, movies are, you know, a time capsule in a way where I think David's movie started filming really like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And it's like so much has changed. And I think you can become, not that the movie has to be timely, but it's like, wow, like look at us now. At least when I do stuff where I can tweet stuff and I can just at least express how I'm feeling now to everyone now. You know, I don't want to look at myself from 3 years ago. It makes me feel very weird.
I mean, hey, to each his own. But
we are evolving beings.
That's
you know,
true. We're evolving every day.
Every day.
So before we get into anything else, I do want to mention that if you guys don't know already, this man to my left over here at the screen has
There's another man here.
RJ, you know who I'm talking about.
Thank you.
He has a thing called a Cameo account, which means that you get for $10, you get the most greatest video.
The most greatest.
The most
you greatest. You could have just said the greatest, but you went over and above. I just did one this morning. Someone had asked me, who do you think Marlon Brando has slept with? And it was one of the most emotionally satisfying cameos I've ever done. I really, really put thought into it.
So what's the, before I go into anything, make sure you guys support him on there as well. Link will be down in the description. But what, I like how you did that. What was the inspiration to making an account and, really giving people a run for their money with, these 4-minute, even sometimes 5-minute long videos?
I don't know if there was an inspiration as much as a need to make it. A bunch of people I knew were doing it, and I thought, well, let's try it. I mean, I ramble all the time about a variety of topics, and people have been very sweet in their requests and want to talk about things. And I also have seen a bunch of bad cameos. It's like, happy birthday, Derek, from, Neil Diamond. You're like, what the hell? That's it? How badly did you want to hear Neil Diamond's non-singing voice?
Right.
So there are things I enjoy talking about that way. And many people message me such weird things like that. They also ask me my thoughts on the Partridge Family for some reason. So I'm like, that's weird. And then I end up having so much to say about it, which is also weird. So it's nice. It's nice and enjoyable. And a lot of people have it now. This is the wave of the future. This is the new, do you remember those like celebrity hotlines? This is also before your time because it's before my time. But they would call and be like, if you want, you would pay and like, let us know the name. And Randy Savage will record a happy birthday message. It's so weird. But I do enjoy doing them.
Yeah, especially since you do some roasts here and there. By the way, for those who don't know, he did do a roast for my friend Jay, aka Gerard, as they say. You want to talk about that a little bit and see what that process was like?
What was that process? Well, you do a little bit of research, which is, important. If you're going to roast someone, you want to know what you're dealing with. Yet, the best thing is when you don't have to do that much research. You can just riff on the name Gerard and get 8 minutes out of that. And it's fun. I also am baffled as to why people order these, why they watch them, and why they decide to order again when it's that hurtful to a person. I'm attacking their name, I'm attacking their essence and their joie de vivre. And it must be very disheartening. Yet, I mean, you seemed satisfied with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was too. He actually recorded a reaction video, which and that I believe you saw it. So it was very, very entertaining to say the least for a 4-minute video, I believe.
Now, who else have you ordered a cameo from?
I didn't personally order one, but my friend Priscilla, who is known as life.of.priscilla on Instagram, had ordered one as well. She was dying laughing as soon as she got her.
Did I made fun of her watching NXT?
Yeah, and Robert.
Yes. Robert Fish, who's a great guy. And I also made fun of, and I'm going to bring it up now because I want it on public record, her the way she mounted her TV and had the cords hanging in front of the shelf of the fireplace. Much like how I observed your room. I'm really just pointing out things that I see.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you got to observe your surroundings. I mean, that's just how it is. Now I want to go into something that I really found interesting in your professional wrestling career. You were a part of a tag team or an alliance, whichever you like to call it.
Okay.
Of this one individual. Oh, man, he has this thing with peacocks. Oh, my goodness. What's his name? Oh, yes, Dalton Castle.
Yes. I thought you were talking about Richard Mulligan again. I'm sorry.
No, I'll get to Richard Mulligan in a little bit, but I want to talk about Dalton Castle. So what was that chemistry like between you two? Because obviously there was so much great chemistry whenever I would see you guys perform in the ring, or whether that was in interviews. Like, what was...
Yeah, so we do, I would say it's an alliance because we've never actually teamed together in a formal sense. We've wrestled each other and we've been in tag teams against each other. And I think we met in Buffalo first at ESW, and we got along swimmingly. We weren't working together then. And then I came into IWC in Pittsburgh and we started wrestling. He was the champ there, and we did business there. And also who was there was Robert Fish, which is very apropos. And then the last time we wrestled, and we've done videos together and a variety of stupid things. The last time we wrestled, he came to Toronto, and we wrestled on a Sunday. We wrestled each other. And then the Monday night, we did a comedy show together, our own comedy show, a comedy bar in Toronto. And it was a hoot. And we did stand-up and sketch. And we actually, at the end for the grand finale, we commentated over my match with David from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And obviously, as you know, there was a lot to talk about in that. So we speak often, and I just did a thing for him called the Grigio Guys. It was me. It was on his YouTube, and it was me, him, Matt Taven, and Colin Delaney. And we were forced to drink wine we didn't like, and then talk about life, which was also very weird. And he's got a wonderful YouTube channel. He's doing things with Ring of Honor. He has a show on Ring of Honor's YouTube channel. And just knowing us, we seem to be attracted to each other in different ways. We've also hung out with David Arquette. We went bowling together, which is what you do. You know, it's the best way to get to know someone. It's a good icebreaker. And I feel like we will continue to orbit each other in various ways, whether it be in wrestling or whether it be in dumb YouTube videos.
I mean, hey, again, the chemistry is there. I love what you guys are doing. Speaking about your YouTube channel, you are very, very active on the YouTube channel community, posting out whether that's from your show, doing interviews in your underwear, or even doing some comedy skits here and there. Like, what was the inspiration to starting a YouTube channel?
The inspiration was, again, similar to Cameo, where I had the time. I had the time to do it. And also, you go through so many pitching shows and trying to work with other people and companies and whatever, and it's just exhausting. And I don't really enjoy my creative decisions having to be vetted by people who I don't find to be creative. It kind of sucks. If it's people I really enjoy working with, then it's amazing and I love it. But when it's people who's making, you know, sitting in an office making arbitrary decisions, it sucks. I had pitched a version of some sort of live show to a network in Canada where I've worked before, and it was just an exhausting process for something that would just be live on YouTube or whatever. And I'm like, guys, this sucks. Like, I'm going to do it myself. So I did. And I've been doing it now for Coffee and Underwear. I've been doing for over 2 years now. And it was a tough row to hoe. It wasn't a tough row to hoe. I enjoy doing it. But, you know, it's a long process for it to be catch on or make money or any of that stuff. But you finally get there and you're like, this is great. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, which is a phrase that I'm sure you're going to hear for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And
demonetization.
What?
I said demonetization.
Yes, great stuff. So, and then I was like, well, I'm here. Let's start doing more stuff. I have the time. I started reading bedtime stories, started doing other videos, The Good, the Bad, the Unknown, where I talk about, weird acting choices. And I started doing a Wednesday night stream. I thought I'd be doing this for like maybe a month because we were all hopeful. And now we're still here after like 3 months. And I've built a little nice community of a bunch of different things. And I certainly enjoy making it, but I also, of course, love doing Coffee and Underwear. That's my bread and butter. That's just me in a nutshell. Everything else is essentially experimental, and people enjoy stuff. And people like Matt Cardona said, when are we doing Coffee and Underwear? And I said, why? But then we did it and it was great. So, and just people like, you know, Steve Austin, Mario Cantone, and of course, David Arquette and Dalton Castle.
Man, again, all-star stacked list that you have for Coffee and Underwear. It's been awesome who you had on the YouTube channel. I mean, and then, of course, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. You know, of course, you're appearing on Ronda Rousey's YouTube channel as well. So, you know, what's it like making these appearances not only for, people like Ronda Rousey, but you also were a part of the world's largest Zoom call with WWE.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I was.
So what's it like making all these appearances?
Well, the Zoom call was bizarre because it says the video says Zoom call with WWE superstars and celebrities. And as you know, I'm not a WWE superstar. So by definition, WWE considers me a celebrity, which is fantastic. I started off with an apology. You know, I didn't need to be there. David insisted I'd be there. And then it was just like, oh, I know everyone in here. This is weird. Nobody told us what it was, by the way.
Oh, really?
We was like, hey, everybody, what's going on? Nice hats. So that was bizarre. I was also, again, and I'm very proud to say this, I was the first person in the history of WWE programming to mention Madeline Kahn, which is a distinction I'll always hold dear. Andre the Giant came close once. He said, and they had to cut. They had to go to commercial. So it's certainly something that many people have tried, but very few have attempted. Few meaning me. And Ronda's thing, the Rowdy League, I was contacted by her people. Never actually spoken to her. Let's get that out of the way. And they created me to my specifications in Fire Pro Wrestling to put me in this simulated virtual tournament, which she was going to commentate, which, as you can tell by watching it, she has zero commentary experience. And it turns out I won. I won the whole thing. I'm the champion of her wrestling promotion, which is fantastic. I haven't seen a dime. I don't know if I've gotten one click or one follow from anything. Certainly hasn't bought a shirt or sent me a Cobb salad, which I heartily requested. And yeah, you say, what's it like working with these people? I didn't really work with her at all. Nor do I admire her creative judgment. I enforced what I thought was good. I brought myself to her channel, and I really, I gave her a boost in many ways. So, if anything, you should send her a message and say, what was it like having RJ on your show? He just gave you this entertainment. You're just playing video games and hanging out on your farm for content. Oh, yeah, we've never seen a farm before. How interesting. This is like, her videos are like when Mr. Rogers in the middle of his show used to pop in a VHS. Remember when he was like, all right, I'm going to go pee. And then he would pop into VHS and you'd just be like, this is how you milk cows. You're like, what? That's like what her videos are. So certainly lacking in terms of a smorgasbord of entertainment. Her charcuterie board was bare. And I think I added some nice salami and a hard aged cheese, if I may get so metaphorical, to her program. And I think it works. And obviously now that I'm her champion, I assume I'm going to be doing more stuff. So only time will tell.
Hey, I mean, again, like you said, I mean, I will definitely try to contact Ronda and make sure that you get your royalties as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't spoken to her. So good luck.
It's probably going to take me a couple of years. But anyways, back to the questions that I had. Obviously we had some great questions early on in the interview. You observed the background, which I do.
Obviously we had some great questions early on. We're only 40 minutes in and you're already complimenting the work you've done?
You got to do what you got to do.
Okay. All right. I'm just pointing it out. Very interesting. And you're not going to edit this. Are you going to edit this at all or no?
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe you're going to take out stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Maybe I'll put the entire thing, and then that'll be it.
We can do it. I think it's just it will end in a clean cut. I think we've transitioned naturally. You're gonna cut out the stuff where I made fun of your shirt and the color of your room. That's what you're gonna do. I'm gonna point. I'm gonna say your shirt, and you're just gonna cut to something else. You'll be like, now tell me about David.
Oh man. Well, hey, you'll find out. You'll find out soon when this.
Yes, I will.
All right. So, I got this. So RJ, so like I mentioned before, I'm gonna say we had a great conversation thus far.
Yes.
But now we're getting to the very, very idle of things. We're getting to the close of things. So before we get into the final question, your most hated celebrity from the 50s or 60s and why?
Well, I'm gonna throw this back to you. Define hate in what capacity?
In capacity, like you hear their music, you see them act, and you're like, damn, like no.
Wow, 50s and 60s. I really, really did not like Tony Bennett.
Wow.
I feel like he was really, and I don't hate him. I just feel like he was unfairly in later years as people retired and passed on. I feel like he got propped up more and more and more. But I feel like at the time, with those people, with the Sinatras and the Sammy Davis Jr.'s, I don't think he was considered in that same league. It is hard for me to tell, but I don't think he had the same body of work.
Okay.
Obviously. I'm trying to think who else. I've had enough of John Lennon. We're just like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. We got it, you know. And even having said, also, I think I'm good on Queen right now. I wouldn't say I hate them, but I'm just like, you had the bio picture. They did the live performances at the awards shows. I am also bothered by the biopics of people who are still alive, like the Elton John one. I know it was a good movie. It's just the concept of it. And I remember hearing there should be a rule where you can only make a biography movie like 30 to 50 years after the person passes away, because we're still here. You know what I mean? It's like, this is awkward and uncomfortable. You know, you're well, of course, you produced it. Of course, it's going to be nice to you.
Right. But not to everybody.
That kind of thing. No. They could be mean to people who are dead. As we all are, right?
I mean, it is what it is. I'm a fan of Tony Bennett. Okay. I
didn't say I'm not. I didn't say he was bad. I just think he was a little more in the Mel Torme range, as opposed to the Sinatra, Dean Martin, that kind of thing. Okay. I have some suspicion there is something about him that tells me at the time he perhaps was not that well liked by people in the business. I just get that feeling. I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'm happy to find out if I am. But you know, I also think about Robert Goulet. Was not very well liked. Sinatra hated him. Elvis hated him. And there's a wonderful story that Elvis saw him on his own television, and he took out his rifle. Not his rifle, his he had like a pearl handgun thing, revolver, and shot his own television.
Wow.
Yeah, in disgust.
At least you're not at least you're not bagging on the Beach Boys. At least that's not.
No, I thought they were. I mean, obviously, you know, they had this bizarre downward spiral where they're performing with John Stamos. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, so at least you kind of gave them a little bit of a break, which that's why I love the Beach Boys. But again, to each its own. Tony Bennett, of course, that's your not favorite. I understand, but I love the 60s, the 70s music as well. What I like to consider is I'm an old soul when it comes to being just a 21-year-old kid. Is that I love music from that time. I love 60s, I think a little bit of 50s, 70s, and so on and so forth. So I mean, we all love our different styles.
Yes, I think so. Certainly in dress choices. But I would say, if you look at the 60s, just the 60s as a decade, in an incredibly diverse offering of music that I don't think is ever touched again. There's like rock, funk, Motown, folk. It was like all, like pretty much every direction you go, it's good stuff. I don't think you can say the same for the 70s. I think if you look at the 70s, you'll realize how much of that decade put out bad songs. The last half of that decade is very 80s, and you don't realize it. There's songs you associate with the 80s that came out in like 1978. And you're like, oh my God, things were that bad then. But that is what nostalgia does. It romanticizes the past, because the 60s were a turbulent time. And in turbulence, you have good music. Although we're turbulent now, and I can't tell you one good song. So,
I mean, like I mentioned before, it is what it is. Different people have different favorites in different decades. You know, again, personally, when I think of 70s, you know, I'm thinking like late Beatles. You know what I mean? When they're
Yes.
break up and stuff like that. But you know, again, that's just me. So, final question. I know you've been waiting, RJ. The people have been waiting. I hope. Maybe they just
no. Your watch time is going to be like that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They're gonna after I make fun of your room, they're gonna shut it off.
Yeah. All right. So, final question: if there's anybody in the professional wrestling business currently that you would absolutely, positively tag team with that you have not tag team with before, or maybe you just had an encounter with that you were like, man, I would love to tag team with this person, who would it be and why?
There are a few people who have shown me a bizarre amount of love online, and I've never met them yet. I'm behooved to want to team with them because I'm a shallow person in need of love, as we all are. Number one, I would say Mark Henry.
Okay.
I've been on his Not a Sports Show a bunch. We tweet a bunch of I wish him a happy birthday on Busted Open. I think we would be a nice team.
Okay.
Number two, Randy Orton.
Oh, okay.
Seems to enjoy my tweets, and maybe I could teach him how to be a heel, you know, teach him how to get booed. Teach him how to slow it down a little. And number three, which I think is a pretty distinct possibility when things get back to normal, is Matt Cardona.
Okay.
I think that would be a nice, fun team. That kind of thing. Also, perhaps, since I am very friendly with them, and I think we're on the same page in the old school, new school sense, FTR.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a little three-man group there. I don't know. I just want a satin jacket, to be honest with you.
I mean, hey, I would love their jackets. I mean, FTR is a very good tag team in the All Elite Wrestling. And hey, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of there. I think the perfect name for you and Mark Henry would definitely be the World's Strongest Heels.
I like it.
That's such a lie. Anyways.
Or maybe the Hall of Shame, because I inherently hate myself. You know, okay. And he could be all angry and whatever, and I'll be just like, what are we doing? Isn't it enough now?
Right. Well, once again, thank you, RJ, for being a part of this interview. I really appreciate the roasts of the background, of course.
They weren't really roasts. I didn't say you're a bad person because of how you decorate. I just really pointed out what I saw.
Yeah, like,
and I encourage you. The Kobe poster, yeah, very nice, very fun stuff. I don't know what is that one that says war? It says world. No, what are they, zombies?
Oh no, right here, this one right here.
Yes.
That one is a. If I can point it out really quick, that's a 1995 World Champions. I believe that's a documentary or a movie that they released. That was based on the 1955 World Series championship win of the Brooklyn Dodgers.
That's amazing. Now I have to recalibrate all my thoughts of you. Because I saw World. I thought it was like some zombie video game or some shit. It was all black and white. I thought it was like The Last of Us or something. But now I'm like, okay, that is great.
Yeah, of course. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see over there, but in the front right there, and sadly you can't see it from that point. But
yes,
Vince Scully is on the cover.
Wow.
And I am a huge fan of his. He's the reason why I pursued this this passion of mine. And yeah.
Well, now I assume you've seen The Sandlot, the movie.
Yes.
Yes. I have the picture when they go into James Earl Jones's house. He's like, there's me with Babe Ruth. And they go a picture, it's like him and Babe Ruth and like Lou Gehrig. And they're saying like this. I have that. That was a real picture, obviously not with James Earl Jones. It was another guy, and I don't remember the name, but I have that picture.
Oh, wow.
Framed. And it's funny because I think it's a white guy, but I think since it's like that sepia tone, you can't tell or whatever. So they just found a picture of James Earl Jones's face and just stuck it on. And it's always very jarring to see in the movie. So whatever. And one of the greatest fictional LA Dodgers of our time is Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
Yes. I mean, hey, Sandlot 1 is way better than Sandlot 2.
Oh, God. You know, there's a third one, too.
I know.
What a piece of shit.
Hopefully, movie directors of that movie are not watching this interview. I'm just kidding.
No, they know. They knew. Hopefully, they got paid up front. Is all I have to say.
All right, RJ. Well, now it is your spotlight time. If you want to promote anything that's coming up, if there's anything that you want to, you know
what? I think I'm good. You'll put some links at the bottom, I'm sure, if people are that interested. Otherwise, Google me, and you'll see a bunch of stuff. And sample it like you're at perhaps Costco and they're giving away samples in the afternoon, which they don't do anymore now because this is the new normal. Everything's going to be the same, but there's going to be no samples at Whole Foods or Costco. So these are going to be tough times.
Oh yeah,
just Google and click and knock yourselves out.
Yeah, and if you want to support him on Pro Wrestling Tees, make sure you guys do that as well. He has some great shirts that are on. Hopefully, I'll get myself a little shirt here and there. Who knows? And also support him on Cameo once again. It's going to be cameo.com/RJ City, where you $10 only. You get to have the perfect video for 3 or plus minutes more, whatever the case may be, because he actually reads you the request that you put in. So I think that's absolutely awesome.
And I judge you. That's the important thing.
Oh man! So once again, RJ, thank you so much. Hopefully,
are you doing this? Is this what you're doing? You're saluting my divinity.
You want me to do this?
No. I was a very namaste. I just want to give it back. That's all.
Okay.
I want to salute the divinity in you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Okay. So this was a very fun interview. I didn't expect to laugh this much. This was cool.
Who do you have next week?
Who do I have next week? Ooh. Should I reveal that right now? I think I should wait for the people to do that.
Because, oh wow!
Yeah,
all right, fine. Okay, let me plug your channel. Click like and subscribe and share. Sock Monkey Mike, who will never have me on again, but there will be other people.
Hey, maybe in the future we might have a round 2. Who knows? But oh wow, he's already denying it.
This is it. We're at the end of the rope. It's been a pleasure, though.
Appreciate it. Okay, well, I guess we'll never see each other again, and until I'm talking about me in the audience, see you again. I'll see you guys again soon. And